Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an Object Show fan who's on a journey to know everything about object shows. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup, the series where we discuss Object Show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, we are finally back to regular production after, needing to take pretty much a week off at episode 100 in the middle because of some stuff that's gone on in the house that meant that there was just constant moving and very little time to sit down, watch, and especially talk without someone in the background doing something, right? So, yeah, I'm still not very used to that new intro. Is it good? I don't know. But, we're gonna crawl ourselves back slowly, probably not gonna be a gigantic video. But we're going to be discussing whatever I can here. And we're going to start off here with the first thing I need to watch, to keep up with from the olden days. I think they released, on the day that I uploaded the last Keep Up episode, which was episode 98, which was the 2 weekly object shows. The 2 weekly object show, since it's been over 2 weeks, has had 2 episodes since then. And yeah, as of last time, what exactly happened last time? It has been a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It was to make the host a gift. They ended up battling for a gift, and then we ended up that the teddy bear plush ended up giving them the gift. Well, actually, no. Everybody is fighting for the word gift, and then eventually teddy bear just gives them something else as random. And yeah, everybody else is up for elimination. There's some interesting gags there at the end, and it's time to jump into it, starting with episode 3, which is titled On Target. Alright, that is episode 3 of T2WOS. The challenge is to shoot a dart at a target, I guess. Whoever gets the least points, depending on how many points you get. I guess every time you hit the target, you get a point? No, if you hit a target badly, you got half a point. Okay, well, look, hit the target pretty well, and you get a percentage of 1 point. And then the fellas tend to go and do that. There's some funny fails and some funny successes as well, with somebody who can't throw, sometimes the dart going in like a boomerang, target moving away. It's quick gags, but I like them, and I like the transition from the score sheet into the voting screen there. At the end of it, proper signifies that, hey, great on performance. I like it. Pretty simple. Unfortunately, the audio is a little bit of a mess. It doesn't know left ear, right ear, left ear, right ear. It's not exactly too sure what exactly it's doing, but you know, it goes how it goes. All right, pretty fun. Episode 4, a shocking realization. Okay, that is episode 4 of T2WOS. So, we have ourselves, as a reminder, as far as I'm aware, right, I think how it works is a different person animates each episode. At least I think that was what the cold open said of the show when I watched it a couple weeks ago. Now, this fella, in the meantime, has decided that it is time to inanimate insanity it up, because we are using some inanimate insanity, like limbs. I think these are resemblant of the Season 1 remaster, right? I think these are a lot of Season 1 remaster limbs and Season 1 remaster movements, which, is intriguing. Gonna be honest, I don't know enough about animation to exactly specify what is going on here, right? Because there are some smooth movements at changing speeds. So are those also taken from II, or were those animated individually? I'm not sure, but it's kind of it's intriguing. To look at. We have this is the longest episode because it takes the time to do a longer elimination, as the other fellas decided to just go like, hey, you're out, okay, next challenge, right? But this one actually takes its time doing an elimination ceremony, right? And you can feel it, and overall I think that it's pretty solid. I like it. It's pretty chill. You get a wire if you're sick, which by the way is really funny. No, bro just goes like, oh no, my wire's broken, let me give them to, but then actually turns out to be for the challenge, which is kind of smart. you have to fix the cables. The 4 people who don't fix the radio's cables will be up for elimination. Now, apparently, all you gotta do to fix the cables is to put tape on them, or in other cases, you literally just grab them. Like Green Pillar just grabs the cable and boom, that counts as fixed. I guess there's just like an aura, divine something. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the point of it is though, because I mean, like, you didn't fix a cable if you put tape on it, you know? Like, what do you mean? And all, like, nobody could fix one cable. Like, the cable, like, if you put the cable in radio, right, and then it's working now, then, like, that, yes, you fixed the cable. But if it's just a cable on its own, like, it's still not working, you know? Like, like, there's a bit of a clash of logic here. I'm not exactly sure what it's trying to be, but either way, yeah. I think that this show is doing a job alright. Audio much better this time around, which is nice. And overall, I think that if it can head, you know, whoever's animating the next part, if it can head more into this direction, this episode 4 direction, I think that'd be good. Okay, next thing. Next up, we are going over to emptyroomosc's channel because, as yet again, way long ago, episode 7 of Google's Diplomatic Show released, and apparently it's the start of season 1B, which means that there's a big change incoming, which we can sort of see maybe in episode 6. So as a reminder, in episode 6, the challenge is you got sent over to an island, and the teams which got reshuffled again proceeded to build a civilization, and then eventually after the challenge ends, they proceed to go over on a boat, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because they currently don't have recovery going on, right? So as they currently don't have recovery, it means that they need to sort of stick together. So they're trying to, I guess, migrate out of the island. Other things that are going on, Google remains 100% stuck there in their own house, just like seething over this one thing that happened ever since they found out the fridge was open. So yeah, let's see how season 1B is going to shake things up in episode 7. The grass is always greener. Alright, that is episode 7 of Google's Diplomatic Show, and as the 1B starter, this is an important episode. This is an episode that, you know, at the end of the day, it showcases a lot of what is to come for this series, and this has to set up a lot of vital things. Now, what happens in this episode? We start off with a music cold open about what is not the current situation, I guess. So, in the regular area, Drivey's seeming teleportation of the contestants to Modza, I believe is what the planet was called, for the sake of the civilization challenge, has made them lose control of the competition of the show, which means that they are currently competitionless, recoveryless, and just in general struggling, while Google remains there, the couch rotting. I would say the couch rotting. At whatever the hell they are worried about, which the fellas over in the basement, which is the elimination area, which they've decided to call their home, is trying to find out. They seem to be confused about who might be even hosting, which is interesting because, I mean, like, I feel like Drivey would be the default answer to the question, right? Like, who's hosting if not Google? Was probably Drive, right? Like, that just makes sense. But either way, yeah, they do get confirmation that Drivey was hosting, but not anymore because they lost control of it for the challenge. And then we get to find out who is hosting the new show. So we end up on a new island, which I don't think we get to know the name of. However, we have this island, which is hosted by, the island host. The island is inhabited by one family of fish. which happen of 5 fish. So we end up having Sam, which is the salmon. Then we have Sid, Spencer, Sullivan, and Swimmer. Okay, I will forget the names, but I have them on screen so I can at least check them there. Now, Sam eventually ends up taking over the hosting duties after learning about the game show. I can help you home if I can host the show while we wait for you to get back. Now, there's a little bit of a sort of half plan here. It's sort of those types of deals where you can tell that you know, Sam here definitely wants to host the competition because they've not exactly made a plan. Like, oh, I can help you to get out, but I'm gonna host in the meanwhile that you're not out yet. But it's like, hold on, if you're hosting, how are you going to help them to get out? You're busy hosting, right? So, like, in general, it feels like it's very much so that type of plan where it's kind of like, all right, let's keep these fellas in here. Let's give them, oh, I'll help you to get back. And then eventually just go like, oh, yeah, I don't know. But they get to host it. They apparently have some prior experience from a thing which we shall not talk about. Okay, fine. It was, I don't know. I guess, what could they have possibly hosted? They might have hosted, I don't know. I don't have a pun ready for that one. But yeah, I don't know. They host something problematic. But yeah, I think one of the cool things about Catchup that ends up happening, is that at a certain point, you start to recognize voices, which I think is really interesting, to say, because like I was listening to that Sam and I was like, that's Fairclough, right? And it does indeed turn out to be Jacob Fairclough. It's a very recognizable voice, which is nice. We proceed to redo our teams again into 2 teams of 6. And speaking of redoing assets, yes, assets have gotten reworks on a bunch of them. Now, which ones can I immediately spot? If I'm not mistaken, Eiffel Towery has gotten a little bit of a rework. It's a bit more detailed now. And in general, the characters tend to try to fit more into the style of sort of base outline with a lower opacity black layer that's more hand-drawn onto the asset. That's kind of what is getting delivered here, and on average it tends to be pretty solid. I will say that in certain cases I am not the biggest fan of it because on the biggest fan of it, I think the main one which I want to say is Hedge. The Hedge asset, it is a lot more detailed. However, it arrives at the level of over detailing where this character, where like, because of the fact that the average opacity of this is higher and the lines are like, there's way more of them and they're way more detailed, it makes the character look over detailed comparatively speaking to the rest of the cast, which makes them distracting to look at, right? I would say that basically what I think is that as the other characters just sort of have like a baseline, right? Like the base, you know, black to it. This one has like scribbles and stuff on it, which make it like that additional bit detail. So I would personally simplify it back a little bit, but in general, yeah, they end up forming their teams. So let's see, what are the team names that Sam eventually decides? Let me see. We have the Stretchy Blueberries, which is comprised of Eiffel Tower, Burj Khalifa, Ball, which by the way has gotten a redesign as well, adding some little flower patterns to the ball. Will admit it's well, okay. I've not personally seen a bowl that looks like that. Usually ceramic bowls don't have a pattern on them, but if you disregard that, I guess, logical fault, it's a good redesign. I like it. There's also, I believe, maybe a mild redesign to baseball bat in the sense of now their eyes are dots, which I don't remember them being dots, but I might be wrong. But I guess it makes them look a little bit goofier. But then it's Lemon Demon and School Supplies. All right. So yeah. What I think this team has got some drama. This team has got some drama going on. It's got sort of Bull and Lemon Demon is sort of harsh. I feel like Burj Khalifa can also, I guess, come up a little bit harsh. Like, they're going to kind of clash, but they are going to have ideas. So I do think that this team has got potential. But they are at a baseline level a team that kind of might struggle with coordination. So, yeah, the Spherical Pineapples are the other team. Okay. Which is Moon, Amber, Hedge, Glue, Graduation Hat, and Fish. What do you call it? Fish. Wait. FF. Oh, God, I never remember it. It's like tank and fish food or something. But like SPB or something. I never remember the 3-letter acronym that this character has. I'm very sorry. This team is okay. It's okay. I think that there's some that this team could do fine. I'm not gonna lie. I think that this team could do fine. In the grander scheme of things, we have we have Graduation Hat, which can kind of maybe lead a bit. Moon has got some nice physical attributes. The other fellas, they've been proven to can be pretty smart. Yeah, I think this team is better equipped than the other one, personally. Now, then you're wondering, well, if the team's better equipped, why did they lose the challenge? Well, the challenge ends up being that they're the 4 fish friends, other than the host, are gonna hide around the island, find them. The team that finds the best of them will be up for elimination. Point of note, this challenge can tie. Wait, can it? Hold on, give me a minute. This challenge can tie. I'd like to point out, it can be 2-2, but either way, we end up having ourselves that, and then we end up discovering the new intro. So, what do we think of this new intro? Well, this new intro uses the Future Phonk song, which I forgot the name of, and that pisses me off. It's not called Future. Wait, is it called Future Phonk? Hold on, Future Phonk. I feel like it might have had a different name. Song. What's a Future Phonk? Okay, yeah. It's the song with some popular geometry dash levels. It's a more detailed intro in the sense that, of course, it showcases the scenes it showcases things more clearly, I guess, and it sort of does a bigger shuffle, and it feels grander as an intro. It might end up being mildly less iconic, quote unquote, because by being this sort of big mishmash of a bunch of different types of scenes, it might not have one thing that sticks out in your mind about it in the same way that the regular GDS might, right? Because I remember how that looks, anytime I need to, because it's memorably looks okay, and I see it. But either way, it is a good intro. We get to see an interesting scene at the end of this intro, by the way, with a bunch of people from, different universes kind of walking, which is interesting. I wonder if this implies that we might get to see them, although it might be a relation to the other show, though, right? Hold on, give me a minute. Because isn't there the old show that had this, one of Empty Room's other shows, right? Had this, iPod, right? Hosting or something? Or at least it had it as a character, I think, this iPod fella. I haven't watched it. Yeah, Object Absurd. Yeah. So, they're probably not related. It might just be there for the sake of, oh, hey, it's cool. So, fair. I don't have critiques to say about it. Then we proceed to have the challenge. Anyways, what I was saying, why does the team, which I said was worse, end up winning the challenge? Well, it's a challenge that at the end of the day benefits them, because, the fact that we have, such, a disjointed situation, the individual player on our team isn't bad, they would just struggle at coordinating. This challenge doesn't need that much coordination. You just go look. Right? In general, the split can kind of get you covering more distance and therefore finding more things. Splitting up is absolutely the best idea. Now, the other team does have a mass strength, which is Moon. However, the strength of Moon seems to be diluted by the fact that he just doesn't move that much. That's just not what to say about it. Moon could realistically, in about a minute, at least scout out all of the easily visible island, alright? And then, okay, maybe you'll go look in a bush, maybe you'll go look in a cave, right? But at least, like, you scout out the areas of interest, you know? But instead, Moon just kind of sits there, and Amber's like, yo, you need to do something. It's like, well, don't tell them to go look in a bush. That's the one thing Moon can do. Is go look in a bush. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Come on now, right? But, yeah, they proceed to do the challenge. The challenge is I mean, of course, a relatively standard, you know, find the thing challenge. However, it does take this as a good opportunity, however, to showcase the environment, right? It's nice to have a hide and seek challenge at a time like this when we're learning about a location. That means that we get to see more of the boundaries of it, the interesting locales, the interesting places, while also connecting with new teams. So I do think that if you're going to do a challenge like this is probably the best time to do it. But yeah, there's a couple of intriguing things. First of all, ball and baseball bat proceed to go over to a cave. They find like a wait, what did they find? They find like a gem. Yeah, they find a gem. Oh, just happens to have written on the bottom of it, "Shake to illuminate." I was like, what? Who is like? Is this some? One of the fish put it there. I cannot. If I go to a cave and I see a gem that says "Shake to illuminate," it's just like there's an instruction manual. Is that I'll go to the cave. I'll go find a diamond, and then there's an instruction manual next to the diamond. Like what? But then not only finding that, but also finding a little bunker place where you can go to the lab. Yes, the lab. It seems to be apparently the same lab from the forest, apparently. Remember, there was a lab back in the forest, if I'm not mistaken, a couple episodes ago when they were doing the survival challenge, where we got to have Amber's redesign, right? In that area and everything. So and when we like discovered like Burj Khalifa being bad, apparently, right? So we discovered that plotline doesn't develop because the challenge ends too fast for them to realistically do much there. We have ourselves some fellas, and they end up having graduation, end up going, hey, we can use fish food, right? Because, you know, fish is like fish food, so we can do that. Now, remember, fish bowl, wait, you're called, wait. I never remember your name. I'm pissed because why do I never remember the 3-letter combination of your name? Whatever. But they have fish food as one of their friends. I don't think that they have ever talked, or if they can talk, but they proceed to run away and leave. So it's a little bit unfortunate, and it's a little bit of a dumb decision. I mean, you have recovery centers right there. I mean, I understand that you wouldn't want your fella to die. However, you don't need to actually feed them. Like, you see, that's kind of the thing about it, right? Like, you can go be like, hey, we got food, and then, I mean, you got food. The fish will go there, but it doesn't mean that you actually need to allow them to eat the food. You just need to bring them over there, and then you go like, hey, oh, we good, right? But no, apparently not. Yeah, we find somebody in a bush, so that's one. Then that's one all. Because there's like one in the water, I think. But we proceed to have as Lemon Demon and the school supplies are looking in the cabins, which look vaguely similar to how the elimination area does. We end up looking over onto a fridge to find fish food, which just so happens to be there, and then the 2 salmons remaining end up finding it, which means that they win because they get 3-1. So luckily it wasn't a draw, which it was definitely possible for it to be. Yeah, that's nice. Is it hold on, what's the deja vu? When did, because like randomly Lemon Demon said that there was deja vu from them the door being locked. Not exactly. I wonder why. Yeah, I don't really know. But yeah, there's a fridge. Now, I will say, of course, we got to be careful for every single appearance of a fridge in this show. You never know. You never know. You know, apparently fridges are important. Google might combine. Be like, no, not this one too. But we'll see. But that means that the spherical pineapples lose. So Is it going to be viewer vote, contestant vote? Both, we decided, because we end up having Moon, Glue, and Graduation Hat up for viewer voting, and then Hedge, Ember, and well, that says BFM being up for contestant vote. So we proceed to have that be the system. So, is that a good system? Is it a good system to do that? Okay. I think that it is possible. However, there's a degree of, like, you need, if you're gonna, like, you can do half of a team is contestant vote and half a team is viewer vote. However, there's like there needs to be a way to filter it, right? Because if it's just the host randomly goes like, okay, you can vote on these three but not these other three, then it's not gonna feel good. Right, it's not gonna feel good. It needs to feel good, which means that you need to kind of have some type of logic to it. The immediate idea that brings up to mind is, could the other team choose? Right, the other team can sort of nominate a character for viewer voting rather than for contestant voting. Right, maybe. Could also act as a prize for winning, right? That seems like the most clear way to make this system possibly function. Now, the main thing that I would say about the system is that it probably just shouldn't be double elimination. Gonna be right now with two teams? Nah, not really, right? Because there's a bit too much. There's gonna now be a divide of 6-4 on the team now, and they'll probably lose again. And then it'll be 2, right? Like, they can only the team can only survive going up for elimination 2 times before they already are down to 2 members, you know? Which means that they're losing a bit, I think, too much of their team at a time right now, which yeah, it doesn't make sense. Because the thing that was relatively alright about the other system, right, that was kind of like the one team was up for contestant vote and one team was up for viewer vote, right? Which is nice because, again, no team takes that much damage. When a team is getting 2 characters eliminated, that's big damage, right? That is big damage. So, yeah, I can say it. Hold on. Okay, hear me out. Random system idea that I just invented is probably not good. That I just came up with on my head. If there's 2 teams, okay, and you can do it. Maybe the winning team nominates one person to be up for elimination from their team, and then in the other team, everybody is up for elimination, and they nominate one person to not be. Think about that. Yo? Yo, because that way the contestants can vote. That way the winning team can still try to get off their guy, and then the losing team can try to save them, and try to save a guy, and then in general it doesn't see that, but it's like it's still like a 5-1 split, and then like somebody can get eliminated. Oh, yo, that'd be fire. But anyways, I don't know. I just randomly invented that. So I just had the idea in the middle of talking. I was like, "Well, I gotta save us. The world has to hear it." But yeah, after risk it for the basic, which is the name of the elimination, we end up having BFF be eliminated officially because they didn't get fish food out. Yeah, they were a little bit too sort of, held the cards too close to their chest there, and they suffer from it. In the meantime, everybody else suffered from elimination. I don't remember Moon's icon being that. I like Moon's icon. It's a good icon. Who's getting eliminated? Graduation hat? Or no, or is it Glue? Is it Glue? What did Glue? Glue did a thing that that somebody didn't like, right? Google. Like, Glue said a sentence that I think people didn't like. Okay. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember it happening. So I'm gonna say Glue gets out, but overall it's a relatively solid set of people. There's not that much to it, but either way, we have ourselves the fellas. Then we end up discovering, because of BFM heading into the basement, that some fish people are indeed currently hosting. We will stay alert for new arrivals to learn more. What are you trying to learn? What is you're like, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to learn, because Guru's not with them, but like they're still looking for that. Whatever. I've talked about this for too long now. This episode's good. That episode's good. I forgot to like set the time that I was supposed to talk about this episode for, so I just ended up talking about it for way more. And I'm talking about it for like 20 minutes. We're over now. Yeah, we're talking too much. But overall, yeah, it was a good episode. It was definitely a good episode. It does a challenge, which I think is pretty smart for the situation that it's in. It introduces the locale pretty well. It introduces the fellas, the new characters pretty well. I like the host. I'm gonna be honest. I think that it's different than Google for sure. It's different than Drivey, which is kind of still not locked in the personality for it. And it's nice to have like a more, I guess, proper co-hosting pair as like a family. So that's kind of cool. With the environments in general, I would say they're looking prettier than the grasslands used to. There's a more proper focal point in actual locations, right? There's the cabin, there's the beach, there's the cave, right? All of these are places that exist, which is nice considering I think that original GDS had a little bit season 1 had sometimes a little bit of a problem. Like there was kind of the lands, and there was the cliffs that were like 1 million miles away. Then there wasn't too much else going on, right? So I would say that we are on a good show, which is nice considering I don't think I was 100% convinced by episode 6, even though it was impressive. I think that this episode definitely gets me on board back again. I think that it's solid. It does a lot of good things. And I hope I hope for the best in the future. But yeah, I would definitely say currently I think it can relax on double elims for as long as it has 2 teams only, because it's too harsh. Alright, next thing. Next up, we are going over to PiggyPug's channel because we're going to watch an object show that has been an ongoing tradition for 3 years. The Pancake Daily Object Show. Yes, the Pancake Daily Object Show, I'm gonna guess, is a show that releases every Pancake Day. It started with episode 1 about 3 years ago, and it has kept itself going so far. It has had episode 4 released a couple weeks ago on Pancake Day, and we gotta watch it to see what the fuss is on about so we can get prepared for next Pancake Day. I didn't even know Pancake Day was a thing, but now I know. So it's time for episode 1, which is titled Top 10 Yummy Pancake. Okay, that is episode 1 of the Pancake Daily Object Show. So, Pancake Square is our host, and we have ourselves a show with a bunch of pancake and pancake variants. We have ourselves Pancake, Flaming Pancake, that's a pancake put on fire. Evil Pancake, that is red. Crepe, which I guess. Pancake Juice, whatever the hell that means. A bucket of pancakes, which is a lot of pancakes. And that's about it. So we end up having those fellas split into 2 teams of 3. As soon as you see this cast, you know what the teams are going to be. It's going to be circles and non-circles, right? And indeed, it ends up being that. So that makes sense, and we have ourselves the teams. The prize is Prime Brew Raspberry Slush Puppy Syrup, which, while I don't know what the Prime Blue Raspberry Slush Puppy Syrup is, I will say that I do actually really like the idea of the prize being syrup. That's cool, right? Because you put the syrup on the pancake, so say, the pancake would want the syrup because it goes well, right? Like I like that. That's a fun that's a fun prize. And it's nice. It actually makes sense why the pancakes would want it. The challenge ends up being to find the pancake robot because they lost the whipped cream or something. And they proceed to do that, and then we end up having well, first of all, the non-circle team ends up finding it first. However, Pancake Juice asks nicely, and it doesn't work. In the meantime, Flaming Pancake ends up just taking them and bringing them over, and they end up being safe. It's a nice testament to how when you're writing a super quick show like this, more extreme characters tend to do well. I like this is what you notice, right? Because like there was no time. A character that does more brass actions and just proper does things ends up getting a bigger reward. And I think that this is a solid example of why in an object show that only has about one scene to do a challenge, you see the fella who just came in there and tried to do it ended up working it out. So yeah. Who's getting eliminated? Maybe Bucket of Pancakes, because I don't know. I guess they're the least pancakey of them, or we could vote out Crepe because they're technically the only one to not pancake in the name. So they're all valid options. So okay, episode 2 is out of syrup and strawberries. Let's go. Okay, I've added episode 2 of the Pancake Daily Object Show. So, it's been a year, which means that there's a couple of redesigns to work it. Crepe is the main one. I will personally argue that looks worse. What? Like, that just looks like a bad triangle. I'm not gonna lie. But, either way, it's a good thing that they get eliminated anyways with, like, over, like, I don't know, like, what, billion votes. Which, yeah, that makes sense. They're technically not a pancake, so, because they don't have pancake in the name. So, yeah, they do seem to get syrup on their way out. So, at least they get, an experience of what they could have won. And then we entered the merge because I don't know, I guess 2 teams of 3 isn't a lot. It could have probably handled one more challenge though, come on now. But, like, one more challenge with teams would have made sense. But, wait, we're having the challenge, which is to not fall off the pillar. The person who stays on top will be safe. The pillars are a random distance away from each other, and they proceed to push each other off, either with the power of words or with the power of pushing each other off. Pancake seems to have some sort of divine protection, presumably for being Pancake, because anytime somebody's like, I'm gonna push you off, the world goes like, no, you won't do that. Which, fair enough that Pancake would have favoritism in the Pancake Daily Object Show. However, yeah, until eventually Pancake just does manage to push off Pancake, because if you just gotta do it. They played it smart. If you announce, I will do this action, then you're gonna get stopped. So you just gotta come in and do the action, right? And it's all solid until eventually Evil Pancake manages to be the last one remaining entirely because the other people just kind of sabotage themselves. So, yeah. This means that everybody else is up for elimination. Other than Evil Pancake, we got Bucket of Pancake, Flaming Pancake, Pancake, and Pancake Juice. It's a vote to eliminate, so who might get eliminated here? Maybe, I still think it's Bucket of Pancake. No. Bucket of Pancake got the least votes every time, but I'm going to say it's Bucket of Pancakes. Flaming Pancake is interesting. Isn't that a person? Hold on. There's like a person that makes shows and stuff. I think that's called Flamin' something, but I don't remember who it is. Maybe it's not Flamin' Pancake. Maybe it's like Flamin' something else. Well, I don't remember, but I think that would be safe. And regular Pancake. I don't know why you would do that. So, yeah, I'm still gonna say Bucket of Pancakes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. One more year. It's time for episode 3, which is titled, Some New Recipes Have Arrived. Okay, that is episode 3 of the Pancake Daily Object Show. Now, big set of redesigns going on here. Everybody has been redesigned, and this time I do like the redesigns, actually. I think they're pretty solid because they feel more flat. Right, which means that it feels more like a pancake because they feel more flat because the lighting work is being done on other characters to make them feel flat, right? That's how it works. Like when you see the lighting work in Bucket of Pancake, for example, you could tell, okay, that's a Bucket. And then when you compare it to Pancake, which doesn't have that much lighting work, it means that it's all on the same surface, right? That's like the best way that I can really describe it. But yeah, in general, they just look clean, so that's good. Do you have the eliminated contestants be Flamin' Pancake, and then also Pancake Juice, who gets eliminated because of the double elim of system thing that ends up happening in this episode specifically because we have a rejoin. So, No, we don't have a return. Sorry, we have a debut. That's my bad. Now, this debut is okay. Like the idea of this debut is okay. I see why the double Elam happened. I'm a bit sad for Pancake Juice because I do think that Pancake Juice was a pretty good character. However, like in terms of concept. However, it makes sense because the thing that would happen is that like you would have no challenge here. And then that means that the contested count goes up by 1, right? It's not like we go more than 1 and now we get 1 back, right? Which means that we're roughly in the same that we would be. Now, the solution would be to do a challenge and to do a debut, to do them both in the same episode. You can argue, oh, the effort wasn't really supposed to be there, but you made the effort to make an entire debut screen, which is pretty complicated, and it takes effort, and that's a lot of assets you just made, so you did put effort into it, so you can't use that excuse, right? But either way, yeah, I do like this debut. It's giving very, like, how many possible variants of Pancake can I reasonably get away with? And it does do it. Personally, my favorites are probably Pancake Stack. I think Pancake Stack fits in very well. And I think the Cardboard Pancake and the Pancake Stack fit in very well with the current cast. It's relatively simple, right? So I would personally have them join. Who's actually joining? I don't know. Maybe Maple Syrup, even though that'd be weird because remember, Syrup is the prize. But I will wait. We'll see. We'll see. But there, like, I don't really know what the Pancake preference is. All right. Yeah, like, what is? Yeah, there's not. Like, what is the Pancake preference gonna be? Are they gonna vote for the Pancake that's backward? Probably not. But like, you never know. Right, like it can always happen. So, yeah, good luck to the contenders and the contenders because it's time for episode 4, the new one. I just had a flip. I didn't join. Haha, you get the pun because you flip the pancake. Okay, yeah. All right, let's go. Okay, that is episode 4 of the Pancake Daily Object Show, the latest one. They are getting longer. I don't know if that's a plan for like the future, but they are getting longer because, of course, we need to do a full debut ceremony, which tends to be relatively long. Now, we have recommended. How do we have recommended Pancake? There's so many. What happened? Did we hit up the Discord, be like, give me pancakes immediately? Like, it's like a pancake contest. What is it? But it's just shout out to the pancakes. But we have everybody going up to the platforms, and then we have ourselves the debut. The contestant that ends up debuting is Boto Pancake with 50 votes, one more than the 49 of Hatsune Miku Pancake. Yeah, that's a rough top 2. That's a rough top 2. You can tell sometimes by the type of show that there are certain times where you'll notice that a show's debut are fully on the meme side, right? Like, you can tell. It depends, but you have seen it before where certain debuts, depending on the audience that's watched them, are just purely on the meme. This is one of them, right? You're just looking at it and you're just like, which one's the funniest? There we go, right? Like, you just vote for the funniest one. And indeed, they end up being the ones. But overall, it was a very split vote. I mean, there was like 3 people on 42 points, which is not like with like only 5 less. So in general, it was a pretty evened out situation. But yeah, you can tell. I think the main one I remember is like the Classly Object Show debut was also like insanely meme based, right? When it's like a lot of other object shows, they don't win. So it just depends on the audience, and especially for this show that's sort of seasonally, you can kind of make the vote as a meme because, you know, you're not necessarily worried too much about the health of the show when it's like, come on. Right? But yeah, the challenge ended up just being there is no challenge, right? It's just everybody else is up for Elam. Who's getting out? I mean, I keep saying Bucket of Pancakes, but nobody votes Bucket of Pancakes. So maybe Evil Pancake, because there's the whole thing of that, oh, I forgot Evil Pancake was in the show and they're evil, right? So let's say that Evil Pancake gets out. But yeah, I do like the staring contests that they're having with normal Pancake. I think that kind of looks badass. But yeah, that is the Pancake Daily Object Show. What do I think of the Pancake Daily Object Show? Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good as far as these sort of yearly shows go. I do enjoy it personally. Do I like? I don't know, because it's like out of these sort of yearly shows, it's always a difficult balance between how much effort you want to put into it. And I feel like this one puts in a relatively alright amount of effort. It levels up alongside the creator with the assets and the writing and stuff. While also getting mildly longer per episode, which I do hope continues, right? Because it'll just feel nicer if it's like every year was more effort than the last year, right? When in general, a lot of the time, that might not be a thing. So, yeah, overall, I would say, a pretty enjoyable series. I won't have to think about this for a little while. Do we think I'll be here? Do we think we're gonna be here February 18th of 2027, and it's gonna be Object Catchup number 500, and we're talking about the Pancake Daily Object Show 5? Like, do we think I'm gonna? Dude, like, am I in, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff's gonna happen before we get to see the Pancake Daily Object Show again. So, oh well. Alright, next thing. Alright, next up, we are going over into Iced Coffee's channel. Iced Coffee, which, by the way, friend of PiggyPug. But, 2 episodes have dropped of 2 different things. We had episode 13, A Battle for the Dream Island, and also episode 1 of a show called 6 a.m. We're going to take a look at them back to back, because none of these episodes are really long. Which is intriguing, because Battle for the Dream Island 13 is a 4-minute long episode, which is interesting. I don't exactly know what is going on here, but last time we ended up having 2 teams being up for elimination after they fucked up the cooking challenge. However, in the meantime, our host, Red, I think has gone over to decide to try to quit the show, I think is what they're trying to do. I consider it's called in red hot water. Maybe that's what's going on, right? Because they got shot and they didn't like it or something. Something like that's what's going on. Maybe we need to see it. This episode's too short for my liking. I don't know. This episode's suspicious. Okay, 3 minutes, 3. I don't know. Look, we're just gonna watch it. Okay, let's see. Okay. So that is the finale of Battle for the Dream Island. Okay. That is interesting. Alright, so what is the situation here? I've been stumped. So Red tries to start the host elimination. They proceeds to bail because remember, Red doesn't want to do this. Okay, Red just want to leave the show. Want to do like, hey, look, I'm gonna leave the show. I don't want to host it. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna do all this stuff because it's not been good for me. It's been hurting me, and it's fine. And then the characters hear that and they go like, yeah, I mean, we're right. We're kind of battling for a non-existent prize, and it's kind of hurt us and it's made us do bad things. And what's the point of that? When our host isn't even here, we might not even get the prize. So it's so like that is the situation basically. So then they proceed to do happily ever after, and then the episode, and then it ends. Okay, so here's the deal. There is realistically like no way that this was the intended ending of the show, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. There's too much effort put into the rest of the show for this to be the ending of it, right? Which means that something happened externally. I tried to look for it. There's nothing. There's no message. There's no community post, and there's tweet. Now, there might be something in the Discord, which I'm not in. However, in general, it seems as if some sort of external decision was made that this show cannot be anymore. Okay, so it has to bye. It has to end. It has to stop now. And it's an intriguing decision, because it is a decision that, of course, a lot of object shows have to contend with. Is that like, hey, I've made a lot of this, I put a lot of effort into it, but now I can't work on it anymore, now I don't want to, now I can't do anything, right? So then what happens? Well, here's an intriguing debate that this episode brings up. Okay, this episode brings up an intriguing debate, and I'll talk about it even if I end up running over time. Is that basically, to what end is it worth it to lock in and finish a project now, right? Because historically, object shows get abandoned. Object shows very rarely get rushed, right? Because it seemed, and like after seeing how this plays out, right, and seeing how it goes, I do believe that it is probably better for an object show to get abandoned than for it to just end abruptly. That seems to be the most logical scenario, actually, because, like, the thing about it is that if an object show gets abandoned, first of all, what happens if an object show gets abandoned? Well, the content will still be 100% there, and of course that allows for theories and all that stuff, right? That allows for, the theoretical, right? Like, for example, a show like Moss. A show like Moss is never going to continue in the exact way that Moss is. I know there's season 2 has been on the word for 5 years. Is that even happening? Right? But, like, that's not happening. However, there's no, like, sudden conclusion video episode made that, like, oh, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, right? Because, like, it's, it still allows theories, and it still allows you to, predict and just have it on your mind. It's like a what if, right? It opens up the what if, right? That an ending doesn't anymore because there's no more what if, right? And the good thing that it also does is that, like, one of the positives of abandoning a show is that at the very minimum, you are keeping the door open for yourself, right? Like, at the end of the day, I know that, like, as of the current exact moment, where we're looking at something like Battle for the Dream Island, and it's like, I don't want to do this anymore, stop, right? I understand. Like, I get it, that it might sound weird. However, I do think that it's one of the things where it's like, for a project that's not done, it should keep the door open for it to eventually finish, right? Because, like, okay, sure, currently you just want it to not exist. However, what about in a year? What about in 2 years? You don't know what is going to happen, right? Like, you'll be like, oh, but I won't be in the community anymore. Well, who knows? Right? Things just happen, and leaving more options on the table is realistically better than not leaving anything in the table, right? Because, like, then it's because, it just opens up the possibility of, like, I guess, like, remorse if eventually that situation does aspire, right? Where it's like, what if, like, in 6 months you're looking at it again and you're like, oh, hey, maybe I did want to do this, right? And then it's like, well, but I already ended, it's too late, they did the thing, what am I gonna do now, right? It sort of complicates that situation for itself, because you've closed the door. You've officially closed a chapter, which, like, in general, you didn't necessarily need to do, right? You can just keep it half written and then leave the room, and then maybe you'll come back, right? Like, again, it can sound disrespectful, but it's just keeping options on the table, right? It's keeping options on the table and keeping the story open for a viewer, right? Because it's like, you might be thinking, oh, yeah, but, like, it's gonna be unsatisfying for a viewer to watch this series that doesn't end, and I still want to make the viewer have a complete experience. And it's like, okay, but you're not. This isn't how that works. Like, by just randomly having everybody who for ages has been battling over this non-existent prize, right, and merge on over it, randomly everybody collectively agreeing, hey, yo, that was pretty dumb, wasn't it? Being like, okay, like it's just not realistic, right? And it isn't satisfying. Like, I'm sorry, it just isn't, right? Which means that like this type of ending does not make the show feel concluded. It makes the show feel closed off, rushingly closed off. That's what it feels like, right? Which means that it's like I'm gonna be honest, it's probably better abandoned than with this episode, in my personal opinion. Now, again, I don't have the other side of the story. I don't have the other side of the story. There is, like, who knows? Like, yeah, I don't know. If what the reason for the sudden decision that, hey, this can't keep happening is, right? However, because, you know, you don't share it, which is kind of, that's arguably more suspect. that's weirder, actually, because at least these episodes, they need to have some offers note on it. Like, come on, there's even a stick around for the after credits still there, as if there is one. Like, come on. But like, in general, it's I don't know what their reason is, of course, so it could be perfectly fair. However, just like from my personal perspective, it's kind of difficult to understand. For example, what would be another reason? Yo, what if someone bad was working on it? Okay, that would be maybe a reason. However, well, not with this show. Everybody's voice acted by the same person. It's animated by the same person. Like, it's a one-man show, right? Other than like recommended characters. So in general, I don't see that being an option. So then it's just kind of motivation and not wanting to and other personal occurrences, which is fair, but like personal occurrences change. So yeah, that's just my personal takeaway from this episode, that like it is an interesting idea to look at a show that you're going to abandon and being like, hey, let's just end it. However, we're looking at it, and I've looked at it, I've assessed it. It's bad. Don't do this, okay? Y'all shows, don't do it, okay? It's just not a good idea. It's not satisfying. You know, it's not satisfying. It's not good. The rushing finish doesn't feel like it respects the rest of the show, because it's not even grand, right? Like, it's not like this episode is a 20-minute episode that ends up with the show ending. No, this feels rushed, especially because it's 3 minutes. So in general, it feels unsatisfying. It doesn't achieve its purpose of making the series feel complete. It feels relatively disrespectful to the rest of the show. And in general, if it closes off a chapter for you in case your personal situation changes and you do eventually want to try to get back to it for history's sake. And in general, the viewers don't have more theorizing or predicting that they can do because it's closed. So that is the verdict on this. I'm sorry, but fail. Next thing. Alright, next up we are going over to Curb's channel. Yeah, Curb, a creator of Battle to Be Able to Exist. There's episode 1 of a thing which released. It is titled The Lunar Object Show. It might be an object show based on like what isn't there like a lunar cycle? Is this like a thing, right? Lunar cycle. When is the lunar moon phase? I don't know. I know, but none of them are called lunar. Or I guess like there's a lunar cycle every like week. But I mean, it's not really released ever. Look, I don't know. But the Lunar Object Show is at episode 1. It is titled This is the First Epiyes. Let's go. Alright, so the Lunar Object Show. So we discovered what the lunar means. It doesn't actually stand for anything, although it could be the Lunar New Year. However, it stands for Lunar Nobi, because Lunar Nobi is a creator. Yes, they are a show creator. And apparently they made the episode, so why don't they upload it to their own channel? I don't know. But, we end up having a relatively intriguing little episode. You know, it's kind of cool to see, because it sort of brings in the reminder that, hey, just because a show creator makes good shows, right? Makes good shows that look good, that have storylines and everything. I haven't watched Lunar Object shows, however, I've given a quick chat. They do seem to be relatively nice. They share a lot with Battlefield 2 and just because of that doesn't mean that they don't have the capability to do shit posts that are low quality. With microphones that can pick up the entire fucking road beside them. Like no, we can still do that. So it's nice. It's good to remember that. But like even probably Fusion Animations, if they wanted to, probably make this, it's nice to remember that, hey, quality doesn't mean that your floor can go low, right? Which you might think that's a bad note because hey, you can always be bad, but no, because that means that you can on purpose pull off a good shitpost, right? Which is nice. So I personally like it. I personally like it. I don't know when the next when the Lunar Object Show. I don't know when Lunar is gonna make another episode of this, but have fun. Yeah. All right. That is all. Next thing. Alright, next up we are going over to Tomater's YouTube channel. So, Tomater, a famous deleter of YouTube videos, has created a new show, which I guess they've teased for a little while now, titled BFTLCT. Not sure what it is, however, episode 1 is released. It's 2 minutes long, which is relatively long compared to Tomater's other shows, which were Object Full style shows, which had episodes ranging around the 30-second mark. We're going to watch it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to do what we do in the Object Catchup, which is to catch up. Here we go. Alright, that is a battle for the leftover chicken tenders. Yes, that is the prize, and it is the name of the show. So we have ourselves our contestants, which let me see if I can have their names appear. Blood Orange Juice, Dodgeball, Loggy, Heart of Gold, Google Sheets, Chemicals, Blue Lucky Block, Fusion Coil, Bath Bomby, Black Phone, Rant Essay, and Yo-Yo. Those are the 12 contestants. And as far as Tomato Show casts go, this is definitely the most versatile one. It actually feels like there's an attempt for these characters to have a personality, to have a bit of a little bit of personality to them, right? Which is nice because in the previous show, which I don't remember the name, if I can't go check because we deleted it. Hey, did you know that when you start a new show, the other show doesn't actually have to get deleted? But basically, we end up having the character in the other show, considering there's only 30 seconds to work with, they barely have much personality to work with, right? Because they just don't have it to build. But here, at least, with these characters interact, you can tell that they either speak in a mildly different way, they look a mildly different way, their emotion is mildly different, which means that there's an attempt at making a character differentiable from another character, which is big progress, right? So that's good. The challenge ends up being to murder, I think, and Google Sheets manages to do that and acts up the Loggy, and therefore they're safe. Everybody else is up for elimination. Okay, this is too many people put up for this. 11 people. This vote. The person eliminated is gonna get eliminated with 4 votes. It's not a lot. But yeah, what I think, I think that we probably got to drop by some teams. We probably got to try to give it a little bit more time to the challenge, because even though we are evolving from just the general full kind of 30 seconds per episode thing, this still only has about 30 seconds of a challenge in it, even 20 seconds of a challenge, right? Which is kind of weird when the intro proceeds to last 40 seconds, right? So it needs to, I think, set itself a little bit more towards the challenge, right? Maybe it's giving a few more writing ideas, because I think they are there. Seeing how these characters are actually now kind of written to do a thing, I think the ideas, they are there, in the flesh. They just need to sort of get harnessed, we got to kind of lock in a little bit to write some stuff, especially because, the animation of the show doesn't seem excessively complicated. So, I think we gotta get some idea juices flowing, and then maybe we can have a Tomato Show that lasts longer than 30 seconds per challenge. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Alright, next up, let's go over to KuyaR's channel because episode 30 of Battle for Mystical Hotel released. It is titled Famous Art Rescue Mission. As a reminder for what happened in episode 29 of Battle for Mystical Hotel, we had the host yet again leave, which means that we needed a new host, and this totem host that speaks in wind ends up being and ends up being the host. We proceed to have one team win and the other team being up for elimination, but alongside that we also have the ultra grand rejoin with like 1 billion people up for rejoin. We'll see who's gonna rejoin, which one's gonna win the poll the most in episode 30, which is titled The Famous Art Rescue Mission. I already said it. Here we go. Okay, so a while ago I watched episode 30 of Battle for Magical Hotel. I'm pretty sure I called it Mystical. I don't know why I do that. Even last time when I talked about episode 29, I remembered it as Mystical Hotel. I'm not sure why. It's magical because it's Madoka Magica. Come on now. Anyways, we have ourselves the rejoiner, the winner, the most out of the polls, ended up being Rumia, which got 85% on her poll, which is the most out of anybody. So, she's the one who's safe compared to the rest of them. And in the meantime, we have the eliminations, be Iroha Tamaki and Madoka Kaname being eliminated as Momoko gets 0 votes, which is pretty impressive. And then we have ourselves a weirdly worded challenge. Protect the Mona Lisa. If the Mona Lisa is protected, you get points. If Mona Lisa gets taken, you're up for elimination. So, they proceed to try to, they have the Mona Lisa, and they're just kind of playing catch with it, right? The way that this challenge works is roughly sort of like the ball. Every time you have the ball, you earn a point. However, you have to dispense it. You're not actually encouraged to keep the ball. You're encouraged to keep getting it over and over and over again. Which means that Reimu and, what was your name? I don't remember. But like either way, I swear I remember. Were you called Cerno? Yeah, you were called Cerno. How do I remember that? I don't know. But yeah, Rumi and Cerno end up sort of tossing the Mona Lisa around to each other. We'll admit, not the best definition of protecting to actively be throwing it around. Yes, I am protecting it by playing catch with the Mona Lisa. I feel that's not. We're not protecting the sacred monument here. But you know, it goes how it goes from time to time. Yeah, they proceed to throw it around each other, and with that, despite a couple of other last-second grabs, the two who managed to get that rally going end up getting, nobody else can match the rally, and they're safe, and everybody else is up for elimination, so Rumi immediately safe right after joining. They're also hungry, apparently. Yes, great, I needed to know that. And everybody else is up for elimination. I don't. Who would get out here? Maybe the one in the middle. B. I feel like they've not had too much to show for themselves so far. So we're gonna go that. We'll go for that. But in general, you know, there's not too much that's left here for BFMH, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure what the future of me watching Kuya shows will be, because there are episodes of other things releasing, TATMG, and also a thing called Tohu Team 9 Services, which is listed as the playlist, are seasons 3 and 4 of BFMH, although there isn't a season 2. So there's kind of a mystery about what I'm going to do with that. Currently, I've decided that they're not classifying as object shows enough for me to be able to watch it, because like 90% of the characters are not objects, and these other seasons, I don't believe they even follow a structure of eliminations, which means that in general, they're just kind of shows where things happen, and I don't think they classify as object shows because they're not that much of a competition show, and they're not that much of objects in it. So currently I'm not exactly considering them, but we'll see. Maybe if BFMH ends, which it theoretically should by episode like 35 currently, I'll chat about it, but we'll see. Next thing. Next up, a quick hop over to Crispy TV's channel, where episode 0 of a series released, titled Mini Ball Time. Now, I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about this because one of the all-time goated characters is the mini balls from 2OS Flip Out, and they're getting their own series. This will be fire. But I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm not sure the competition show if it's more like a skit. It's episode 0, which is kind of interesting. It is 3 minutes long, which is relatively long for 2O standards. Not that many 2O's episodes have been 30 minutes or longer. So I am curious to see, and I am kind of hyped to find out what is actually going on with this. Episode 0 of Mini Ball Time is titled A Sandy Quest. Here we go. Okay, that is episode 0 of Mini Ball Time, and if we were ever worried that the mini balls had ever stopped being goated, nope, incorrect. The mini balls still just as goated as always. Now that they got the spotlight, we can see their interactions a bit more clear, which is nice, because I have always felt that especially when watching 2OS, that I actually like the interactions that play out in these Crispy TV shows. I actually like them quite a bit, to be honest. They're relatively cute interactions is the best way I say this. Like a couple of 2OS characters that had it pretty good. Even Tommy, right? Or Tournament of Mini Items. There were some nice, fun, cute little interactions. And they were enjoyable to watch. However, they've always been honestly kind of stuck in this like bottleneck of being a competition show that lasts 2 minutes, right? Like that's kind of the bottleneck that it's been in. They were like, yeah, it's sort of, I guess, like, I'm sorry, how do I say this? Well, like, you know, we barely get much of it because that bottleneck of being a competition show lasts 2 minutes means that there's that bullet point list that needs to get done, and in 2 minutes it can just about get done, so you don't get to see too much, right? You just get a little niblets here and there of what it would be like, which is one of those things, right? Now, yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is, I definitely believe that Crispy would be one of the creators which I think would benefit the most from extending the length of the episodes. I'm not gonna lie, a 10-minute or longer episode of a show created by Crispy TV would go ultra hard. It would go omega hard. It would be one of the most legendary things. But you know, like, if the show, like, if a show gave itself the time, it would be fire. Because even here you can see it, there's a couple of minutes, and it already manages to make it work, right, by having the focal point. So that's what I mean, like, when doing, like, I guess a mainline-ish show, like, it really needs that additional time. You know, it needs that additional run time, that additional script length to allow for scenes like this to happen in a regular show setting. You know, like, it's nice because, like, if you think about it, something like this, right? This is the type of thing that would totally appear in like a 15-20 minute episode of another show, right? With like, but like every other team is also doing something along this side, right? Like, it's just very fun, right? And in general, this concept, of course, a non-competition show, with a primary set of cast, right, but also some other fellas, right, like, it's cool, it's fun, it's very reminiscent of, like, Looney Tunes and stuff, where, like, in general, it's just kind of nice, it's fun, right, like, that's the best way I can describe it, it's fun, it's charming, it's just a very enjoyable experience, very hard to say anything against it, right, and it manages to have an extremely consistent quality both in animation and audio because it's all being done by the same person on all aspects, which of course might be the bottleneck to why it has so far been impossible to witness a long Crispy TV episode. However, if it one day ever happens, I can feel it in my heart, you know. I can feel it in my heart. The potential's there. You know, there's some gold. There's gold to be mined. You know, it just needs to commit to long form. You know, to be honest, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But I'm not gonna lie. If there's ever an object catch-up wish list, I think that like long crispy TV show would be on that bucket list of things I would want to exist. Because it would go hard. But yeah, this is very enjoyable. As a pilot, I don't exactly know it's a pilot. I guess it's just like, oh, there won't be a lot of episodes. And I might tweak the concept, which, you know, fair enough. But yeah, the mini balls continue to be as good as always. The plot line is simple, but it's fun. And in general, there's no other word to describe it. It's fun. Alright, thank you for more mini ball content. I will eat it up. Next thing. Next up, we are going over to obledoesstuff's channel because 2 more episodes of TCOSA released, which is the cheesy object show again. As a reminder for what happened last time, the previous winner, Pie Chart, ended up getting Grilled Cheese, who's now homeless, some new contestants to host the show. We ended up having the challenge be to murder somebody. Sivy manages to do that on accident, and everybody else is up for elimination. Let's see what happens in the next few episodes. This show's pretty fast. Episode 2 is titled Homogenized. What? Homogenized. Yes. Okay. Because I read like homogenized, but no, it's homogenized hazard. Homogenized hazard. Okay, go. Alright, that is episode 2 of TCOSA. What do we have here? We have ourselves message trying to be like, who got eliminated first in season 1? Do I remember? No, I know. Sorry, I do not remember who got eliminated first in season 1. But we have a tie for 2 votes between Doorknob, Bucket, and friggin' Cement Bucket and White Chocolate Chip Pistachio, whatever. We end up having a tie for 2 all, where the challenge is jump 5 inches. The small one doesn't jump 5 inches, jump 4.99, so they got eliminated. I wonder, is this literally is this visible in the animation? I have to check. Let's see. Look at the highest. Nope, they jump literally exactly the same height. Okay, well, unfortunate. It would have been a nice animation detail. We have ourselves the challenge, which is to drink a gallon of spoiled milk. We end up seeing Sivy do that as close as they can by dunking it onto their head. It doesn't work because they didn't drink it, they just poured it on there. They get mad and start beating up the host. Yeah, it's not like Grilled Cheese has been getting pretty bullied. These past TCOS episodes, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, as they're fighting, as they're having that battle. By the way, Grilled Cheese loses that. Little Grilled Cheese dies in 3 seconds. But we have Cement Bucket just dunk it onto the cement, which, by the way, ew. What is that mixture? And be like, I drank it. And Grilled Cheese, oh yeah, you did. So even though they didn't, but of course they were distracted, so they're safe. Fair enough. It's an enjoyable episode. I like that one. The gags in it, solid. Although did use Sifey again, which, considering the character pool isn't that high, I should probably try to vary it a little bit more. Episode 3 of TCOSA, released yesterday. It's titled The Immunity Pizza Slice. Bang. Alright, that is episode 3 of TCOSA. So, we have ourselves a voting that ends up being irrelevant, whatever it was, because, Doorknob ate the immunity pizza slice because they went to a fancy restaurant that happens to serve it. And they proceed to, choose who's eliminated, ends up being squared who gets eliminated. So, goodbye. And now we have ourselves a challenge, which is a long jump. The contestants perform pretty fucking poorly. However, it's not really their fault. It actually is a nice way to actually point out that, there are about 4 characters with pretty poor mobility. Because Cement Buck is going to be super heavy. Clown Nose isn't a very versatile safe. Sivey, obviously not. And Blueberry has no arm. So it's actually very little versatility for these characters. Leaves a message, which manages to get a very good jump in, harnessing Faded by Alan Walker. Truly, yeah, we're truly harnessing our inner piano tiles. And now we can go over to, we can go over to Doorknob, which it just absolutely goes meow, 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 and manages to land it even right next to the host, which... Look, we don't technically know where the host was, right? Like, technically, the host could have been behind the start line or sideways, right, to the side of the start line. And in which case, it's like, well, then you wouldn't actually be safe if you jumped so far you jumped backwards, right? Like, that's not how that would work. However, by the fact they say that we win, we're presuming that post the finish line, there was grilled cheese there. So, yeah, good stuff there, Doorknob. You are safe after, risking it a little bit. Having Doorknob get to eat an immunity and choose who's eliminated, and it's also safe in this challenge. I'm sensing some favoritism. Now, I don't know. Did Doorknob get eliminated and we're trying to save them? A bit suspicious. But, yeah, that's that for TCOSA. It's going pretty alright. At least as far as what I can remember from the TCOS episodes. I will say that I think these have been stronger episodes with challenges. There's been more total interactions, going on. There have been challenges where we're getting to see more people's attempts at it. It's feeling improved. So I am enjoying it. But all right, next thing. Okay, super sorry. I have to drop this in. I was okay. So in the middle of I'm gonna be honest here, right? Okay, I'm not on a face. It's gonna be 100% honest. I did the Battle for Virgin Island segment, and I got so distracted by the fact that the show ended that I forgot that there was another iced coffee show supposed to watch. I was supposed to transition that into this show, but we're gonna watch it now, as I originally promised. Okay, 6 a.m. the show created by Iced Coffee, episode 1. No idea what it is. It's titled "Headlamp Has a Gun." We're gonna watch it as we were supposed to. Okay, here we go. Okay, that is 6 a.m. episode 1. So, the premise, a show made entirely in 6 a.m. It has to be 6 in the morning, have nothing better to do, and just make the show. I will say that if there's anybody that can pull off a show made in 1 hour, it is probably Iced Coffee, because there is you gotta remember, those early episodes of BFTDI, of Battle for Virgin Island, are entirely improvised, and as far as improvisation goes, right, they had a lot of flaws, but one of the things that was the most impressive about it was the fact that they were all improvised, right? And you can see those improvisation skills relatively at work here. In general, there's like not that much, like what, 10 to 15 minutes of audio recording, which is the main bulk of the actual episode, right, in terms of, like the plotline of what happened. And we managed to get 2 minutes done. We managed to get honestly a challenge that I like. Okay, it's not a challenge, it's more of a socialist, it's like a Beast Games type challenge. However, like in general, it's an interesting thing. You shoot somebody, which is bad, right? So you're putting them through pain. However, they get rewarded for it by paying who's up for elimination. So you want to kind of shoot somebody who is roughly aligned with your values, who isn't yourself, so that way you don't experience the pain. They don't mind, and they choose who to, and they won't choose you to be up for elimination, even though they probably would, because because that is true. Because if you shoot them, and then they might get you to be up for a limb because you shot them, so you need to be wary about that. And you can't shoot yourself, but that's painful, right? Like it's a genuinely interesting concept, isn't it? But yeah, we have ourselves the like why do I like the challenge? But anyway, they proceed to eventually shoot themselves after for some reason getting weirded out. A music box saying something weird. A bit of the characters. Wait, Windows 1.0, okay. Music box or music bix, headlamp, frisbee, and blueberry, which is the good design. That frisbee looks like a pancake, but we have some interesting lines. Is Windows 1.0 the first operating system? No, not really. There's like DOS. You know, there's like text only operating systems, you know, like Windows was like the first operating system with a UI, right? It was the first like GUI. However, like in general, first operating system, not really. But yeah, overall, it's interesting, and I think it definitely shows off that Iced Coffee or Ava definitely can pull off a lot in very little time, and it's very impressive. And honestly, hear me out on this. 6 a.m. production live stream. I'll go hard. I mean, hey, we got nothing better to do at 6 a.m. Okay, that is all. I'm not sure if there's more Iced Coffee content that we're ever going to see, because of course BFTDI is gone. There's battle for building, I guess, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I'm sorry for reviewing this later. I completely forgot about it in BFTDI sentiment. I got so distracted there. But yeah, 6 a.m. I like the challenge. It's pretty impressive, and yeah, next thing. Okay, next up we're going over to PeaceMation's channel. So, PeaceMations has another object show on the object show list of shows, and it is titled JSG. Not sure what it is, however, it has episode 1, which released 12 days ago. It is titled Die, with an exclamation mark as the end of it. We do not, I do not know what it is, but yeah, no, really, I just have no idea. There's only one way to find out, and that is by clicking the play button and by watching it. Let's go do that. JSG, good luck. Okay, that is episode 1 of JSG, which is Jackson's game or something. Now this is one of the most interesting episodes I've seen quite a bit, because it's so hard to describe. I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't know how to describe this, because because like in the world, you know, usually, right, with an object show, you can usually tell what it's trying to be, right? Is it doing shitpost? Is it doing high level? Right? Like, what is it doing? And you can tell because, like, other PeaceMation shows, for example, fall pretty clearly in those categories, right? You end up having that Novemberly object show be very clearly, you know, shitpost quick thing. And then you have Ding Dong being main show, right? Main show, high effort, takes time, right? Okay, all looks good. But then it creates this interesting situation with this, because this is not in either of those two categories. It is surprisingly well animated, to be honest. It does a good job. It does writing. It's not like an object full like 1 minute clone. Like there's time for interactions and stuff. And considering the runtime of 4 minutes, it manages to get a surprising amount in about the characters, right? However, at the same time, it has so much like meme stuff, from the intro to the host to gags with like certain like certain jokes that uses like videos and stuff. Like in general, there's a lot of memery, but at the same time, it's relatively well animated, it's relatively well written. The voices are nice, solidly variating, right? So it creates this like middle category of it's kind of good. It's hard to exactly describe what it is. But like it was an enjoyable experience, to be honest. I think that the assets were pretty good. The background work is like there's not that much background work done, but it's at least done it relatively intelligently. As I said, the characters have a bunch of cool little moments. And stuff, and like in general, I think that it definitely could. This is definitely a show that could, right? Like I see the English here with these characters, where like if it were to be sort of that secondary bigger show, it could exist. It could serve itself a relatively solid spot, because it was relatively enjoyable. It does just kind of need to lock in itself a little bit more in what style it wants to be, because it's a bit too middle of the road, so it's kind of hard, right? Because currently it's probably not going to appeal to too many people, because like people who want a shitpost object show is not going to be mimi enough, but if people want a real object, it's going to be too mimi, right? So that's kind of the problem in the middle of the road. There is an object Catchup reference in this episode as part of the challenge explanation. When the people say that the other ones are up for elimination, we end up having the character say, let's play object Catchup, which is so true. Me, every time that I win a battle royale, I go like, let's play object Catchup. I do that when I win a Fortnite match. if I ever make another Roblox video like I used to do, but I have part of me has wanted to do that, to play like BFTDI or something, because it would be kind of related. But if I ever do something like that, and win, I will reference this moment and just say, let's play object Catchup, okay? Right after winning. But yeah, that's all. Overall, the challenge, by the way, which is to murder everybody, ends up getting run by Windows background because they have a bomb. So fair enough. Everybody else is up for elimination. Who's getting eliminated? Maybe the pencil. Maybe the pencil, because they're a one-liner character. It says one line. I don't know. But yeah. Overall, cool stuff. Needs to sort of sort out which vibe it wants to be more, because it's trying to do both, and it's probably gonna appeal to not too many. But I see potential. Next thing. Next up, it's time to go to LiminalLatte. Yeah, we go to LiminalLatte pretty often because LiminalLatte might have the world record for most shows or something. So I think that might just be true. Like, I don't know. But either way, there's a new one joining the horizon, BTNBPM, which I'm pretty sure stands for Battle to Not Be Problematic Media. Presumably either inspired or inheriting a show that we looked at last time from Randomness, which was Battle to Be Problematic Media. Let's see what exactly this is, if it ties into that one. But we're starting off with the episode released 12 days ago, episode 1. There's 2 episodes released. Episode 1, which is titled Throwing PiggyPug into the Sun. We're really... this like core of people, like we're really getting into their shows today. All right, let's go. Okay, so that is episode 1 of the greatest piece of media ever invented. Okay, so hold on. Alright, this is definitely fun. This is definitely fun, is what it is. It's like, these shows, they're definitely a little bit hard to judge, because, like, first, judging them isn't necessarily the point, a lot of the time, because, like, we're not exactly trying much in specific, right? it's supposed to be a fun show that does fun jokes, right? For the sake of being appealing to, being amusing to a casual who's not aware, and to be extremely funny to the people that are involved in this, in the ecosystem, of course. Alright, as the people actually included in the show. So that is sort of what it's supposed to be. Does it succeed? I would say yes. Because, like, the most important part of like, not necessarily of object shows that, like, you know, are, like, are made for a joke, I guess. It's kind of the way I can say it. Right, this show doesn't get made for any serious, like, I'm gonna make peak media, you know. It's like, it is made because it'd be funny to make this, right, is what I mean when I mean, like, it's a joke, object show made for a joke, right? And, like, the main thing that has to come across when you're doing this is that it needs to look like you had fun making these episodes. And that is the one thing that I think it nails on the head. Because by keeping in bloopers from time to time, alright, by, in general, you know, just kind of having silly stuff happen, stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, having the characters go improv, having like, in general, just stuff happen that's not necessarily supposed to, makes it feel like, oh, you had fun making it, because it ends up it ends up feeling like it feels like a communal experience, because you can feel that fun being like, oh, hey, I'm watching something that somebody had fun to make, so there's not much to say. When, like, in general, if it was just a full episode, like, even if the same gags are in it, right, but there wasn't any of that, like, of the outtakes and stuff, it would feel like more serious, it would feel more locked in a way. However, it would lose that charm that needs to be there, because, like, either way, it's not that serious of a show to begin with, right? And gonna be honest, just how I said it with the other show that feels like this from LiminalLatte, which I watched, which was Choco Pretzel, or like Battle for the Choco Pretzel. It's similar in the vein where it's like, I will be 100% honest, it's just my type of humor, so I find it funnier. You know, I enjoy these type of, you know, like, random things getting said and then just rolling with it, right? Just kind of rolling with the randomness, right? Just sort of being like, okay, if this is a show that's gonna play itself out mostly randomly, let's lock in, right? And it's nice. Anyways, let's actually talk quickly about what's actually going on in the episode. So, LiminalLatte is the host, and 4 people come along being problematic media. They're problematic media, apparently. Randomness, YTOG, PiggyPug. Then we also have 2 people which we're not familiar with in this universe, in the Catchup ecosystem, which is Retro IDFK, and also fuck the name Cactusa. Wait, I don't. Hold on. Let me see. How was this name said? How was this name said? Cactusa. Okay, Cactusa. All right. So these are the 2 people. I make up the 4 people that end up being the cat. That will point out, if all of those are apparently problematic media, but then LiminalLatte, the host, is not problematic media because they're the host and they get to award somebody not being problematic media, I will say, egotistical. Nah. Why are you making yourself not problematic media, but all the other people? Nah. But the challenge ends up being to show them the new Plants vs. Zombies plan. We end up having the joke from 4 Point. Okay, bro. And then afterwards, we end up having the contestants all completely misinterpret the challenge. Because, I mean, hold on. Were they supposed to make a new Plants vs. Zombie plan, or were they just supposed to show it? Because they all just end up inventing a plan. And it ends up to various degrees of success. John Pork ends up being the first one shown, so Cactus is safe. Then we end up having randomness, getting distracted by TikTok. Okay. then a Retro ends up drawing cat ears and a face onto a pea shooter, and then LiminalLatte goes freaks out of this because no, they're Smiley, they're not allowed to do that. What do you mean they're Smiley? It's a pea shooter. You think a pea shooter Smiley? Look at that day, bro. Where's the smile? The guy is going like, oh, where is the smile? But and then PiggyPug made a apparently Tickler fella up. Okay, sure, it looks like a bomb. It looks like an activated bomb, but they're safe, I guess, because it's funny. And then that means that randomness and retro are up for elimination. Love the pause to vote. The thing at the bottom of the scroll there with the text. That's fun. Let's see. Let's random pause. See who I predict to get eliminated. Retro. Okay, Retro's getting out. Now let's we end up having ourselves the post-credit scene, which is me. I'm the post-credit scene. Look at that. That's like 7,000 pixels higher resolution than my actual thumbnail. Than my actual channel profile picture. Look at that asset. I need that ASAP. I need that for the profile I need that for the profile picture. My profile picture right now is that inverted image. It literally is an inverted image. Come on. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And I will say I am a big fan of the Catchup background with a floor. So yeah, I will say I enjoy cameos a lot. Okay, I have blabbered on about this for way too long. I completely mistimed that. Episode 2 of this very show is titled Return of the Little Juice Tickler. Where was it ever gone? Let's go. Okay, that is episode 2 of BTNBPM. So, yeah, I mean, alright. These shows are, this show is, I think I said this with Chocolate Breads again. This show is definitely testing how serious of a object show discussioner am I if I'm looking at this and going, this is the funniest thing of all time. Well, here's the deal. I think that this is an important point to make, right? Is that a discussion is in general relatively independent to itself, right? Like, I treat these discussions entirely, as a personal opinion, right? Based on the content that the show puts itself in, right? Like, for example, you might look at this and you go like, well, hold on, how is it that, like, this show in general has probably gotten more positive comments than Battle for a Bad Hamburger, which was the main show, right? That LiminalLatte currently makes. Well, the thing about it is that, like, at the end of the day, it's not supposed to be necessarily a comparison, right? The shows are directly, for example, they're doing different things, and they're like, for example, a show that's trying to be more for real, I guess, like Battle for My Hamburger, ends up being like, it's in general gives itself a more proper discussion about what is doing well, what is doing wrong, because of the fact that it's trying a bit more, right? And it makes, the positive comments a lot more satisfying, right? Whereas with this, I mean, like, it's trying to be funny, of course, and to me it succeeds because this is my humor, right? Like, I like the sort of randomness, like, quick cut randomness, but rolling along with it, that happens with stuff like this. It just is just solid, right? And I enjoy it. Like, the fucking what was the sentence? You have to stop Nightmare before he kills me to death. Like, bro, that is so goofy. Like that again. I just love it because you just roll with it. I love improv where you roll with it instead of keeping it moving, right? I don't do theater, but I'll probably love it. Basically, is what I'm learning. But like in general, It is an enjoyable episode. So what is the episode? Well, first of all, the eliminated contestant. It was not Retro. It was Random, who got eliminated with like way more votes, like 20 votes. The sarcasm is very strong from the other contestants. Fair enough. So yeah, randomness remains problematic media. I guess I have to go to the Catchup dark zone next time. No, I'm kidding. We have ourselves a challenge, which is, Latte was going to do a challenge to do their laundry. However, that doesn't actually work because Nightmare develops from the 4-point joke, ends up coming in and being like, I will murder you. And they're like, no, that's bad. Stop them. So they proceed to do various tactics to stop them, which don't really work. PiggyPug tries to send the juice tickler, doesn't work. KuyaRAdventures ends up using a bazooka, accidentally hits PiggyPug instead, and then Retro goes like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Everybody's gonna die if I don't stop them from dying. And then, however, they be like, oh yes, I can summon the entity, and they do that, and it ends up defeating the Nightmare because the entity. So fair enough. So we now know that Retro has entity powers, which it's gonna be big danger for the rest of the competitors in the future. But yeah, they safe and they win the challenge, and the other two are up for elimination. To upload to your house Twitter. And we end up having the other fellas in the vote to eliminate. Who's getting out? I don't know. I guess I can't predict. There's no text saying. There's no pauses to guess. So I guess I can't. No. If I were to predict, I see the more popular person getting out. So maybe PiggyPug. I don't know. Not saying that Catchup is less popular than PiggyPug. But I just haven't heard of them. But we end up having the problematic media, of course, with Charlie Kirk, of course it is. We have ourselves the episode. There's an interesting, singular scene per episode that's animated a completely different style. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. Both episode 1, it is and it isn't. So it's a bit too different to be Latte doing it, right? So it's probably somebody else, but who did it? Hold on, is there any other animation credit? Animation, Liminal, Randomness, Retro, PiggyPug. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess one of them has a very different style, and then they animate one scene each or something. Okay, I see. I see. Alright, well, it's a cool style, we'll admit. That style, I guess, pulled out, is actually quite solid. And the character, they look different on it, but I like how they all have their own asset equivalent for the style, instead of being, badly placed onto the style. So I actually do like that quite a bit, with niceness. There aren't that many shows that follow this style. I know of 1 or 2, but I don't think any have ever realistically... I don't think any have popped up in the Catchup yet. Shows that are animated in this kind of style. I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry. It's super hand drawn. it's like super hand drawn, right? It's like pastel. I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry. It's like color washed. Sorry. I don't know how to describe it. But what is it called? Whatever. But either way, I don't know who animated those scenes, but if you have an object show, it'd be pretty unique. Just saying. And that is all. Really enjoyable for me. It's probably not for that many other people, because I feel like my type of humor is a bit different than the average person. However, in general, for me specifically, it was gold. I love it. I love these 2 episodes. But yeah, there you go. If you ever for some reason are making a show with the premise of trying to get a good discussion out of me, which, by the way, you should never do that. But, if you, for some reason, have it set on your target that Eternal the Sec's gonna like the show, make this. It'll work. Okay. Next thing. Okay, next up, we're going to roughly try to follow the train of FrazzleDazzle's shitpost object show that had a new episode. a couple of days ago. So we start off in the past because 7 months ago, the most Tuff Object Show ever added the 2 episodes of the season release. No idea what it is, but we're gonna watch it. There's a compilation with a billion, well, not a billion views, but like 142,000 views. But we're gonna watch the episodes individually because that's how they're, I guess, supposed to. So we're gonna watch it. Starting episode 1, titled National Mango Day. Okay. Alright, I can tell why this object show has like 3 seconds of love runtime. 3 contestants: Mango, Troll Face, Blood, and Mustard. And they eventually say 6 to 7 years. So then, the evil entity that shows up every time that you say 6 and then 7, shows up 6, 7, or 67. This character shows up. There's one cool angle of them from like below that actually looks fire. But they proceed to do the object show. The challenge is shove a bunch of mangoes in your mouth. The mango's already a mango, so their mouth technically is full of mango because they are the mango. So they end up probably being safe. I mean, we don't get to see. There's no like voting cards, so we technically don't know. But I'm presuming that they are safe. Okay, cool. It is now time to do the next episode, which is episode 2, and I guess the last one of the most Tuff object show ever. It is titled The Eclipse of Mustard. Go. Okay, I'm sorry, I just like to point out that my top, I'm not even joking, my top recommendation that YouTube is giving me after I just finished watching this video is the object show pacing problem. Okay, anyways, we have ourselves the elimination after 6-7 shows up. We officially know that their name 6-7. And in general, I actually do think that this Algebraian is doing fine. I actually kind of enjoyed this Algebraian. I'm not gonna lie. Like they're kind of goofy in a way that the show makes function. And they're doing good. I'm honestly finding 6-7 to be an enjoyable Algebraian to watch. They eliminate Miss Phonk after they get 30 votes, and then we have the final challenge just to stop the solar eclipse from happening. Fun challenge. I like the sun screens help me. It's fun. It's a funny episode. I like it. Okay, I approve of this. The challenge is to stop it from happening. Mango tries to just tell us to not do it. They'll be like, no, don't do it anyways. And then Mustard proceeds to try to tickle the moon away. And it does actually work. So, presumably, Mustard ends up winning. Good job, Mustard, on winning the most Tuff object show ever. I hope you enjoyed doing that. But yeah, at the beginning, be like, the new top song. Yeah, so true. But yeah, it is not the greatest taste in music. Now, we need to do something a bit weird because we're gonna take a look at like a can sort episode because basically it skips straight to episode 2 of another really Tuff object show. However, there is an episode 1. There is a what was left of episode 1 to watch. So we're gonna watch that. Now, what was left of ARTOS 1, Mr. Phonk is dead. Okay, let's watch this, I guess. It's the best way that I can realistically, like, cover it, right? Because, otherwise just skip to episode 2 and that'd be weird. Go. Okay, so that is ARTOS 1, Mr. Phonk is dead. So, it is a complete episode in the sense that we get to see all of it. It's all voice acted and at least partially, I guess, storyboarded is not the correct way, to describe it. It's like there's like a rough draft of it, that the second half of it, does it with like no coloring and stuff, but, yeah, in general, 6-7 doesn't need to even be said for 6-7 to show up. We just say season 2, and then they show up to host it with a bunch of people. Broken heart, rose emoji. I don't even know what that guy is. A chocolate bar, and then raw honey. Okay, interesting contestants. Wait, is that Dubai chocolate? Oh, that is Dubai chocolate. Oh, I get the joke now. I get it. So they proceed to host the show, of course, and yeah, no, I like this host, you know. This might be the weirdest sentence that I've ever said, but I like 6-7. It's a very complimentary host for the goofiness of the show. It's very complimentary. It works, you know. Like they have the right energy for it, you know. Which is nice. The challenge is to kill the Green Goblin, and then it turns out that the chocolate managed to do it by grabbing them and splattering them, and then they proceed to be safe. Everybody else is up for elimination. Now, we originally thought that the show might not have existed, which is why I never took a look at this back when it released, because like, okay, well, it's not a show, it's not an episode, but turned out it is, right? Because, you know, we gotta discuss it, because it is time for episode 2 of another really tough object show. It is titled Easy Peasy Mango Squeezy. Here we go. Let's see how the first complete episode of this series goes. I would probably, by the way, retitle the what was left to episode 1, because otherwise it's a bit confusing, you know. But all right, let's go. Okay, it's episode 2, and Mr. Phonk is back for more. Yes, they have joined the show. We have an intro now, which, I mean, it uses Phonk music, so that I'm correct. Apparently, I don't know, Sterling is the guy I didn't know the name of. Okay, interesting. And then we have ourselves the elimination, where, well, you know, there wasn't a poll last time because, of course, the show was supposed to not exist, but now it does. So, we end up having a wheel get spun instead. We end up having a mango spin the wheel. I like how the wheel character gets dizzy when they get spun. That's cool. There's a lot of, I don't know, there's... I kind of, like, in a weird way, I find this show charming, right? Because, like, it is a lot of really dumb memeing. But, like, at the same time, it, like, what it does details, right? Which is, it's the one thing that I feel like a lot of the time, of course, these shows, there's all shitposts lack, is any type of attention to detail. But I feel like this has a degree of attention to detail that, ends up being, it ends up being fun. You know, it ends up being fun. I like the attention to detail additional that it has. Challenge is to press the button, so the average Nate the Snake challenge. And then after people be like, well, should we do that? It looks a bit too easy. But nope, Mango does it just to try it out. Then they're pressing it, they're safe, everything explodes, but you know, somebody was gonna do it, okay? Somebody once told me the world was gonna, okay, no. So overall, yeah, we have, I suppose, the freaking Kai's and that Iron Mouse breakup or whatever, and then it's like, what is that image of Iron Mouse? What is that? I don't know. What is that image of Kai's and that? What are these images, bro? But like, intriguing piece of content, sir. But yeah, overall, we'll be honest, it's very goofy, but like, it still manages to have some attention to detail, despite the fact that it's supposed to be kind of a shitpost. And I appreciate it for it. So, yeah, you know what? Why the hell not? The TS Tuff. Alright, last thing that we're going to be talking about is another episode of Fight to Live from Random Malaysian Character. Episode 8 has released titled Funny Machine. So, as a reminder, last time we ended up having our villains defeated by the grand guy who showed up, which I forgot the name of. However, they proceeded to what was your name? I don't remember. But either way, they proceed to get Fizz into a cage. They even get me, my robot equivalent, into a cage. And we end up having, oh yeah, called Unknown. Yeah, we got to choose the next host. Who will be the next host? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, in episode 8. Funny Machine. Go. Okay, that is episode 8 of FTLFRMC. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I did kind of totally forget that this was supposed to some extent, be a competition show, because it never truly was, right? Like, for the first batch of episodes, they were kind of doing challenges, but there wasn't ever a proper structure in place. And this feels like the first episode to properly structure, at least how a competition might play out. I mean, I don't know. But, we have a relative alignment after Pointy presumably gets voted as the host because they have powers and they're hosting and they're immediately coming bad at people and murdering them. So Pointy is having fun in their new host position, which is great. Now, we have ourselves a renewed intro with a couple of scenes, from yet again a couple of Trace teapot intro scenes, while also some other stuff as well. I do like certain aspects, like the cannon shot transitioning into the falling, which Marker does, I think, in general in the teapot intro. I actually like it. There's some aspects of it that I enjoy for sure. Now we end up having the 20 characters be there as Pointy ends up sorting out the hotel, presumably for the eliminated contestants, and then also the sky and the grass, and then they form teams. We don't get to see team forming, but we get to see the finished teams. The OG team, which is Tail Ice, or is that Ice Tea, right? Tail Ice, was that because like Ice Tea? Is that what that is? Paper Dude, Sible, Caxis, and Serengit. So, the multiplying one. So, that's that team. Then we have got the other team, which is the Random Insanity team, which is Emoji Guy, Hanger Guy, Job Application Guy, Satai, or Sate, I don't know. And then the Paper Dude, which, I low-key did not seen before. Then there's the Cutie Princess Baby Pie team named by Browie, who's the weird one. Alongside that, there's Bang Bro, there's Unknown, there's Hex, and there's Ked. But yeah, there's Ked. And then finally, there's the team of people that we basically never seen. The Split Z team, which is Windstorm, Thunderstorm, Earthquake, Soto, and Bihunsup. So... fair enough. The challenge seems to be to, you know, what is the challenge? I believe that the challenge is to, what is the challenge? Hold on. I'm trying to find out what the challenge is. Because there's this funny machine. Okay, that happens. Presumably, that's what it'd be called. So that's like trying to attack, trying to grab you or something. And then it seems as if you want to destroy it. Right? And then you're safe. However, the only reason I'm confused is because Unknown destroys it, and then the other two teams destroy it after. But for some reason, the Cutie Princess Baby Pie team is up for elimination. But they didn't destroy it last. So the challenge cannot be to have destroyed the machine. So what was the challenge? Because if it's not that, maybe it's to destroy the thing inside? But I don't... Like the weird Bart thing? I don't... What was it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, amigos. I don't know. But yeah, I do really like the hand taking away from the voting screen as Unknown gets taken up by Pointy to be a co-host, which they proceed to apparently have. There's only 4 people left in their team now. So, yeah. However, they want to do something. They have an idea, a surprise, okay? And Unknown ends up unleashing the caged up fellas, which are Fizz and me. And then they proceed to be like, do you want to do this? Is a high risk. And then I don't know. They're doing something with those that is interesting. Maybe one of them is a contestant. Would that make sense? I guess, but I feel like that would be a pretty poor idea. Like a deaf robot and then a fella who just tried to murder everyone. Like, I feel like those are not really contested ideas. But I don't know what these two are going to do. If I remember correctly, this was the pairing I suggested. I think I was actually quite a fan of the idea of Pointy plus Unknown as a host co-host pairing. However, I did prefer it the other way. I do think that like unknown Pointy as a duo makes more sense than Pointy unknown as a duo, but of course, hey, if the guy won, the guy won. Alright, but overall, I think that like this duo has the potential for interesting dynamic and interesting interactions. But yeah, we're gonna need to see it happen, play out. Yeah. Overall, this episode is pretty alright. Again, I cannot judge any of like the dialogue too much because, of course, it is not in a language I speak. Maybe one day, I don't know, I'll find the Malaysian and have them review it. But currently, I don't really know. Okay, that is all. Let's do an outro. Alright, and that will be all for today's episode of Object Catchup. So, you might be wondering why exactly I haven't covered some of the bigger things that have released. Well, I decided that I wanted to make this episode fully focus on the farthest behind, on getting to a day a bit closer, right? Because, I was just kind of worried that, like, I was just going to get 3 weeks or something. It was going to be bad, right? It was not going to be good. So, I made sure to lock in on those. Now, for the next episodes, I don't 100% have a plan, to be honest. I kind of need to see. Of course, depends on what stuff releases. I plan on not watching the BFTDI until the finale. I want to do BFTDI 9 plus BFTDI 10. Oh, no, sorry. Wait. Yeah, I want to do the last 2 episodes of BT together, okay? To at least have a bit of a bolstered up section. So I'm gonna dodge watching BFTDI, because either way I'm like late to it anyways. So I'm gonna dodge doing that for now, and then do that later. But in the meantime, I don't know what I'm gonna do because of course I gotta do requests of big stuff. Well, there's a Woes episode, there's a Dibs episode, there's a thing, there's a thing, Magic Caseless and new stuff. Is this side? There's always this stuff going on, you know. I'm behind to it. I'm gonna get to it. I might try to for these next few videos have a more direct like plan, like a proper plan of action. But so far I don't. But I might update you if I do. Maybe it would be an interesting idea to have like a catch-up schedule in a way. Like, yo, this is what this episode will have. Because I don't do that. But either way, for this one, I really just wanted to be like, okay, and this one day, I'm going to record for about 2 hours, and I'm going to do the content which I can, right, to catch up. And even though it's not going to be the things that I'm technically the most popular to watch, I'm still going to watch them, and I'm going to do all that stuff. It'll be good. Okay, and overall, I'm relatively satisfied with it. We're getting there, you know, we're going to need to sort of sort ourselves out a little bit. Yeah, okay, we're gonna get there. We're in a little bit of a mess. It's what happens when I'm in a break, you know. Anytime that I'm in a break, forced or not, I will come back in an absolute mess of things to watch, and you know, I just kind of gotta sift through it. And this time, I decided to sift through it purely chronologically without any bias on views. But for the next episodes, I might first of all try to sift through requests again because those are like 2 months behind at this point. And for anything else, we'll have to see what bias I end up putting on with. But I'm trying. I'm trying. Trust with me here. Again, but we'll get to it. All right. For the shows that we've watched, we're all caught up. See you next time. Goodbye.